Um, Chris is back again to discuss another talk. So Chris Bealey, head of data science at the strategy unit, and this time he's going to be talking about whose application is it anyway? Building products for everyone in the UK health and care system. And this time, Chris, you have 20 minutes, including questions.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I think my slides will be appearing momentarily, and there they are. Thank you very much, Claire. Right. So what do I want to talk about? Um, I want to tell you a story. I think a lot of what I want to say really at the moment is just me describing all the various mistakes that I've made and the wrong path that I've taken, and this talk will be no exception. Oh, sorry, I just clicked the wrong button there. There's another live mistake there for you. So it's really a story about me ending up in the middle of sort of two things. I'm feeling a bit lost. So I've come from the world of data science. That's all I've done bits and bobs, slightly squiggly career, but it's all I can remember right now. But some disciplines in digital that I didn't really know much about and have learned much on recently. So I would say I launched myself off in the wrong direction, and I've been trying to kind of like recalibrate ever since. As I often say at the beginning of my talks as well, something else that is popping up more and more for me. I'm not an expert in anything I talk about today, so if you are doing something big and complicated like I'm describing, please don't listen to me. Ask an expert. I'm just telling you about what I found and what I think of it. So as I mentioned earlier today, I've been leading a team that built a demand and capacity model for the new hospital program. It's a simulation model that predicts demand for acute care in the sort of 15-year mark, about the year 2041. There's a huge amount of analytical work on the model, around the model, in the model, you name it. And there's an incredible amount of WYSI reports and dashboards and to assist people with understanding their own data, to assist with setting parameters, to assist with interpreting the results. You know, the data is complex, the results are complex. So we do a lot of work to try and help people understand what goes into the model as well as what comes out of it. And sort of my experience of this really is we kind of did what it said on the tin, if you like. We did what we were supposed to do. But having done that, I noticed issues. I wasn't happy with the way that some of the things had rolled out. So we did have some user feedback, but it was it was ad hoc. We didn't really have a formal approach to talking to users. And the prioritization of the developments those users desired was also very ad hoc. There was, as I say, lots of other work going on around the model, some of which would help us build the model, some of it would be relying on us doing something for, there's a huge interconnected stream of stuff around this. But a lot of it was siloed. A lot of the pros programs of work were siloed from each other. I'm talking about inside the unit. And so what happened effectively was bug fixes and improvements were considered in isolation. And the kind of deliverables, the stuff that was rolling out of the factory, the connection between those things was poorly understood. And the effect of that was delays and missed opportunities. So that was something that I noticed. And so I've been, as I mentioned, that I've been trying to sort of correct that ever since, certainly from a data science point of view. So I basically wanted somebody to just work across all the different streams of work, as I say. So there is data science work, and there are different streams of data science work, and there's other work as well. And I wanted somebody to consider the work program as a whole and to help us to prioritize. And the other thing I really wanted at that time was to really kind of dig into this thought about people using the model being users. It seems like quite a trivial word, really, users. But I think thinking about them in terms of their expectations, in terms of their user experience, in terms of what they want, what they bring, there's a huge amount of depth to that. And it's something that we hadn't really done enough thinking about. And in particular, the needs of people using the model, analysts, not people pressing buttons on a dashboard, analysts thinking about their needs as users. And that I found that was a very important change in the way that we thought about things. So I'm just going to tell someone else's story first because it's such a great story, and then I'm going to go back to my own story. And I really love this story for lots of reasons. It has a real resonance with it. I think perhaps the most old hoary subject in analytics, which is, I'm sure you've heard it many times, we spend all our time building these beautiful dashboards and nobody uses them. I've heard that, countless times. We all have. And so the people involved in this story did something about that. And I think the results that they found were actually, I think, very profound. And they used concepts and ideas which I had never heard of 2 years ago. That concept is what I would call product. There's lots of different definitions of the word product in the world. Here is one I think that's particularly relevant for the current context. I think if I was doing a different talk, I might show a different, definition. And but the thing I really like about this diagram is you can actually see analytics on there. And I think that's kind of what we did actually in the early days, with due respect to everybody involved, including myself. I think there was a business need, and I think there was a set of technology to fulfill that business need. And I think we produced a lot of analytics. And, I think a lot of the time that's probably fine. I don't know if you need to contort yourself every single time you do anything thinking about users. But I think in our specific case, it became very clear that actually that yellow circle with design, with users, with user experience, with user interface in it was really, really important. And ignoring that, I think, had meant that we were shipping a product that wasn't as good as the one that we could have been. So what is this? What is this word product? I use this word constantly. So project management is about delivering a thing. So you can be agile when you're delivering, you can iterate, and you can just be waterfall and just spec it and just roll it out and go, right, there you go. And it's nothing to do with that. Product management is about the why and the what. And again, someone, I think it was Emily said this earlier, or possibly someone in a panel said that sometimes these things can sound quite obvious, and they do sound quite obvious. Of course, we'd think about why we're doing what we're doing, Chris. But actually, I think in practice, people either don't or don't spend enough time doing it. So that's kind of what I'm advocating for. So back to this other person's story. Basically, they came in and they were running a team, and that team was building a load of Power BI dashboards. And the thing they heard coming into this team was, we build loads of great stuff that people ask for and they never use it. And so what they did is they pivoted their work into this product space that I'm talking about. So they generated activity on these 5 roles that you can see on the slide here: product management, product design, developer. Developer is what they were already doing. Everybody used to be a developer, but they recognized that as a sort of specific role of the skill set. User researcher and delivery manager. And, introducing those skills and those concepts had a great effect straight away. Straight away, they were hearing, basically, they were doing fewer things. This is another thing I really like about this story. They were doing fewer things, but those things were better. And I think a lot of the stuff we've heard over the last 2 days, I think fewer and better, I think I could be one of my many things that I need to get tattooed on my body so I don't forget them. However, the issue they found was those roles were just kind of given to people all together as a hodgepodge. And the staff reported that their roles were very broad. It was hard to juggle the different responsibilities, and also it was hard to learn and to develop in the way that you want to be. So I think another really amazing thing about this story was they underwent root and branch change of job roles and job descriptions. It wasn't done in a top-down way. It was done with the staff who were interested in these roles, who wanted to work in these ways, who were on board. And they really profoundly changed what each individual got up in the morning and sat at their desk to do. And I think that's really massive. I think that can be really hard. Obviously, it shouldn't be done in a top-down way, but that worked really, really well. People were on board, and the work that they produced, they found had results. So the work was transformed, basically. So now roughly a third of the staff that are on that team, they all used to just be developers. They were all just the same thing, Power BI developers. 1/3 of those staff are now involved in the disciplines of product management, design, and user research. And it's not a third because after that amount of time, people kind of give up and, there's no more engagement. They indicated to me that they could do way more product work if they had time. There is really, really, really massive engagement from people who want to work with them to define the why and the what. It's been a really, really, really powerful tool for them. So that's someone else's story, which I tell because it is so clear and pure and brilliant, and my story is messy and unfinished. But here's what I've been up to and we've been up to. So I have added 2 product roles to my team in the last year. So we're a team of roughly 10, depending on how you count us. And 2 of those people are engaged full-time in the disciplines of product. I kind of chip in occasionally. And we've had lots of great results from that. I think it's been really, really powerful and important. And I think it's been recognized as being useful, both by our customers and by the people who kind of deal with our customers, if you like. And some things we're still working on. So I think one of the things that's really been useful and that we're still working on is separating this product and delivery. It's very easy to stuff delivery into product roles, and that's often what happens. But separating clearly why you're doing this from how you're doing something, it's a really specific and clear example. This is another hoary chestnut that you hear from analysts. Involve us at the start. Don't come to us and say, I need a line on a spreadsheet, or come like, what's the question? So on and so on. And I do think that separating those roles into 2 brains, I'm a big believer in that. If you overfull people's roles, they don't know who they're supposed to be. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're supposed to learn or do. So I think having those, one product brain and one delivery brain, I think is a powerful tool. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a group of people who know how to do the why and a group of people who know how to do the how. And I think they work better separately, but together. So I just want to talk a little bit. I think Agile is a real part of this. So I want to mention agility. I often talk about Agile. I'm a big fan. My biggest reflection on this is that you might naively think that I kind of just read about it in a textbook one day and thought, I might have a go at that. I'm a data scientist. I feel like I should. And when you look at the stuff that people ask us to do, it's presented to us in a very waterfall-like fashion. That, it often seems as though people want a very, very clear, defined outcome. But then when you look at the way they behave, they don't want that at all. And I mean, reflecting on it, preparing this talk, why would they? Why would they want the same thing 6 months later than they did at the start? I actually think when you're thinking about the complex areas that, all the issues and all the developments and so on, it's sort of, I don't know why that's such a, again, it feels kind of obvious that actually being a bit light on your feet can make the customer happy. So it is a mindset. It is a mode of practice. We've had some good discussions recently. They have this concept in Agile called rituals. And, they can just be rituals. They can be kind of empty, meaningless things. And agility is built into everything that you do. Agility is in the code. Agility is in the way that you manage the team. Agility is in what the team, it's shot through. And if this was a different talk, I would wax lyrical for 25 minutes about all the fabulous things you can do with it, but I don't have time. But I wanted to mention, I think that's a really important part of allowing to develop the why and the what, because if you don't have an agile delivery system against that why and what, you're going to really struggle to change the why, to listen to feedback, and it's just an important part of that loop. So I'm going to shut up a minute. I mean, this honestly is kind of money for all. That's another reflection I had preparing this talk. I wonder if there are any digital people booing at the screen, possibly. This is old news. Nothing I've said is new or interesting or different in any way. But this is all news to me. So I'm just going around and telling it to everybody. I do think data science and analytics are expanding into digital. And I do think that we're reinventing the wheel. But I think in a way that's a good thing. I actually think we can't use exactly the same methods and mindsets that you would use to, build Facebook or, whatever, some sort of digital type product. It's not necessarily true that would apply to a big simulation model to build a hospital. So I think what I would say is that data science analytics for me is entering the max power stage. So with the tools of data science and the modern kind of products and all this kind of stuff, you can do things really, really, really quickly. You can have millions of rows of data thrown in, you name it. Especially with AI powered tools, it combines on itself. But actually, you could just be making, if that's not what the users need and it doesn't engage with the, like what they need, what their understanding is, all those different things, then it's really not a worthwhile enterprise. So my final thought basically is we need to listen and learn. I think I've learned a lot about agile and product in the last 2 years. I've listened to lots of people who work in digital. I don't think we can just port the methods across as they are. Certainly, that's not been my experience. Agile doesn't fit neatly into data science, in my experience. Please tell me that I'm wrong in the chat. So I do think we need to make these methods our own. I think we need to understand them and see how they work for us. And as always, I think I would much rather do it with other people because that's what this whole conference is all about. And clearly, we will go faster and better together than we would on our own. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris. Really interesting talk again. So we do have a couple of questions. So there we go. Come down now. So yeah, the first one, I guess, quite a practical question. First of all, can you share the JDs for your new roles? But then also, do they do product delivery management?
Yeah, I don't know about that. To be honest, I'm not sure. I'm worried this is being recorded. I'm not sure the JDs are in a brilliant state, actually, to be quite honest with you. I think we're in flux with that. It's certainly something that I'm aiming at. So do correspond with me if you're interested. And I think I'm not saying I've done nothing, but I don't think I can give you like a perfect one that I've written because I haven't. On the kind of project delivery management type stuff, I think my answer to that is yes, they do. They do delivery and project management, and that is a bad thing. I am trying to learn to really keep having these disciplines. As I say, if you go to a digital team, they'd honestly just be yawning in the aisles. They are very different disciplines. Product and delivery are not the same thing, and it doesn't make sense to have the same people do them. It's not the same set of skills. It's not the same teams. It's not the same anything. But I feel like in our context, for some reason, it's very easy to miss that and to model them together. So that is something I'm working on very much at the moment, is trying to kind of give both those disciplines the respect they deserve, basically.
Yeah, I suppose like a bit of a follow-up question, a bit similar. Can you maybe go into a bit more detail on the difference between the product management and the project management? So they seem like sequential actions of stages, but can you explain what those key differences are, I suppose?
Yes, well, thank you for that question because I have skipped over it slightly, haven't I, in the interest of time. Maybe I should have said less better, as I said myself earlier. So I think that the thing that's really, really different about product, I mean, they would work with a project manager. So the idea with the product is that they would define the why, and very, very specifically in terms of user needs. And that's, I think, also a language that we're sort of trying to learn how to talk. So just to give an example of a user need, it might be some sort of specific summary to do with like a given delivery section of a hospital or something like that. It's they want to know about something, and that is their need, and it's very important to kind of separate. And you would look at what their understanding is, what they're bringing to that, what they need, like what they can understand, all those different things. And that's a very different discipline from actually then doing it. So in terms of like, okay, well, we know what we need. How do we do that? Like, where would it live? What computations are involved? What does the output look like? But again, product would feed into that in terms of, well, what does the output look like mathematically and statistically? But could we have product thinking on that in terms of the design of it, the layout of it, how it works? Does it make sense? All those sorts of things. So it's very much to summarize, it is product is why. Why are we doing this? What's the point of it? What need does it fulfill? And delivery is how. Like, what are we actually going to do in the next 3 weeks to go from not having this thing at all to having this thing and having this need be fulfilled?
Brilliant. Just so the quick check, no other questions. So I'll just ask one last question for you, Chris. So I suppose, is there a risk for those specific roles like product and project, they can get a bit stuck where they are? Like, so career progression, I suppose, within your team. I think back to my own team actually at Nice, and it's often a challenge for the project manager in our team to think where they go next within our team, because the team is so technical based heavy in terms of data analysis, analysts, senior analysts, etc. Whereas the project manager, there's nowhere seemingly for them to go. Do you have a similar problem potentially?
No, I think that's a great question. And this is, yeah, I think this is one of the reasons why I'm talking about this. I just don't think we have careers for these people, do we? I've got product people in my data science team. And yeah, I don't know. Product and data science, is that a career? Do we have JDs? Do we have training? It all just seems so new and different. That I honestly just kind of feel like I'm almost walking off the side of a cliff, quite honestly. And the only way we can do anything about that is just by talking about it. And I really think, I mean, we talk so much about valuing technical expertise, don't we? People should be able to get promoted with that, and I agree with that wholeheartedly and always have. But I think there's something else as well. I think actually there are other things that we need to value as well. And I think that can get crowded out by the noise about technical. We need to value people who know, to understand users. We need to value people who can manage projects, all this kind of thing. And I think, again, having better roles and responsibilities, that's always for me, defining the roles and helping people have a clear path forwards, is a big challenge. And it's a challenge. It's not for me to solve this, but it's for all of us.
Yeah, very true, very true. So that brings us to the end of your talk, Chris. So thanks very much again. And
Thanks, everyone.
also that brings to me as well to end the session for this part of the session, for this part of the conference. So thank you to Chris, obviously, and also thanks to all of our speakers today. They've all been brilliant. I'm sure you'll all agree. And also I'll say a quick thank you to Claire, who's been behind the scenes hosting this and getting people's things on the screen and throwing me into the conversation when I need to be. So I hope you enjoy the rest of HACA as well. Not much of it left now, but I hope you enjoy the rest. I'm sure it'll be very interesting later. And thanks for attending and your engagement.